What is up, everybody? We're here for another episode. We have Sean from 0 to 10K at Twitter. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Sean, me and Sean actually get along fine because we actually support the same unfortunate football team. So that is a bit of a common win and lose between us. But Sean, this is a question I ask everyone. Why do people pay you?
Good question. So people pay us because we get exceptional results for a specific industry that have a specific offer, and we've got great case studies around that offer.
Okay, all right, cool. I want to jump into some very quick things over here. You were smart enough to go ahead and build your own outbound agency, but not only do that, you've built it in such a creative way that you were able to exit it, which means you did a lot of operational excellency things that pretty much put you to a position where you can exit it. So I'd love to learn, what are the 3 processes you automated that helped the sale easy for you?
So the main 2 things was the proposal and the payment. Now, bear in mind, this was all done within high level, right? Go high level, we quite labeled that. And then the onboarding. In addition to that, we had a lead scoring system, but that was essentially just a formula and a sheet within Google Sheets.
Sure. Nice. Okay, nice. So effectively go ahead and take care of processing payments, and the other one was, what was the other one that you said? Sorry? Onboarding. All right, cool.
Yeah.
It seems like that is a common thing. Some other larger agency owners said, if you automate that, you're in a good place. Okay. And sometimes while you're doing lead generation for your customers, you get the ability to come up with creative copy, etc. How was your lead generation process for your own agency? How did you acquire customers for your own agency?
So we predominantly did everything through email. We supplemented it a bit with SDRs and a bit of LinkedIn. So in terms of SDRs, what we'd do is if someone replied positively, we'd try and get them to ring them within the first 5 to 10 minutes. We saw that increase conversions.
Okay.
And then LinkedIn, we had someone come in and sort of use expanded to push messages for us through that channel.
Great. And do you mind jumping into the when you said you use email, what was your process? How did you define your ICP? What was the offer that got people interested? Because it's a crowded space, right? As we all know.
Yeah, 100%. So it changed, right? It evolved. So at first, in terms of finding the niche, I was targeting marketing agencies and SaaS companies, right? Like everybody else. And then I targeted a marketing agency owner, and he said, look, I'm closing down the marketing agency, but I've got another company. Do you think you could do it for that? Now, this company is a loyalty program, SaaS, right? So it just so happens that we fell upon that. We got lucky, and then we got some great results, right? We got them on the phone with like Burger King, got the signed deals with Ford, and we got some great results for them. So that then sort of became our niche, and we developed our ICP as a result of that. Made some partnerships and we networked. In terms of, you mentioned what the copy and structure in the emails.
Yeah, just like, what's your copy structure? Just sort of, if you don't mind unveiling, what did you set yourself up for success with?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in fundamentals and frameworks, right? So I believe that an email writes itself if you understand what the offer is, right? So if you have an exceptional offer, the email for me is always the same. It's hi, first name, here's who we are, what we do, here's how we can help you with an outcome, and here's what I like to say is a CTA that makes people feel stupid to say no to, right? So if our offer would be, we'll generate, would based on our ICP, let's say they've got a client lifetime value of 100,000, right? So the structure would be, hi, would you like to increase revenue by 100,000 a month within the next 3 months? Case study, here's who we've done this for. CTA is generating an extra 100,000 a month, something you'd be interested in. So the structure for the emails for us was always the same. It's just very, very much reliant upon the offer.
Makes sense. Okay, cool. And on that note, I'd like to sort of jump in as someone like yourself who's dealing with a lot of other customers of yours. You're training people, you teach them how to do things, and you get feedback that's cyclical. What's an outreach strategy that you see playing really well in 2023 with everything that's happened? Social media, Twitter, email bans, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So email, but specifically video within email, right? So, Ryan from Pitch Lane.
Okay.
He sent me,
I
was in his list, sent me an email, and I thought, interesting, right? Let me go through the sequence, because I knew what was going to happen. You click on the image, you don't get the video, it waits again. And so I wait for the sequence to run, and then I give him some feedback on what I think he could have improved with the offer. So then ended up getting on a consultation call. But the reason I really like that is because essentially you're preloading the VSL into your email. And as you know, you can provide so much more information and credibility and build trust much quicker by being able to do that.
Completely agree with you. I think Ryan and his product is absolutely fantastic. We love it as well. See a lot of people with massive success. So shout out to Ryan and Pitch Lane if you're watching this. So that's a massive win. Okay. I want to jump into the thing about where you said once you grab a lead on the call, you said you spend within 2 to 3 minutes, it increases conversions. Do you mind sort of jumping into a playbook that gets you a signed deal? Do you have any a system in place? Could you share that? What's your approach? Saying, hey, first name, XYZ. But I don't do cold calls, but I'd love to learn from someone who's actually done the cold call cycle.
Yeah. So in terms of cold calling, this is what I did right for a job, and then I created a sales training agency prior to the lead gen agency. Yeah. So you're always trying to make it warm, and by warm it could just be an email, so you've got something to reference if you want to get through a gatekeeper.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
If you do,
of course. Yes.
But yeah, so it's just looking to then schedule a time that's convenient for them to speak, right? And then you can address any objections on them. But in terms of sales calls, it depends, because we've now shifted to sort of a 2-call close. When we're doing the lead gen, I prefer the one. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but the structure for the a 1-call close we'd always use frameworks. I wouldn't have a script. So it would be rapport building. It would be a custom plan and address any objections up front that I have found a trend that I've identified that people will typically ask, right? So if you just started out no case studies or just one case study, well, we've been doing this for a long time. Here's some results we've got. Here's our plan for you. Next step is qualifying. Then we would recap, outline the ROI, and then go for the close. So that's called sense.
Okay, straightforward.
Okay. And the reason I like to use frameworks is because if you've got a script and you go off on a tangent and you start talking about Manchester United or something like that, and it's like, where was I on the script? You know what I mean? But then you can just ask the questions. I know now I'm outlining the ROI, so it's simple. And then the 2-call approach is the same sort of thing, but we just do it over 2 calls, right? So we assess, we qualify, we provide the solution, ROI breakdown, then we next steps for the next call, and then we go for the close.
I see. Okay, interesting. And do you see one work better than the other? Like you said, it doesn't matter, but did you pick up any statistics on one that worked?
2-call close seems to do better anecdotally for us, especially when it comes down to bigger companies and larger offers.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, I want to jump into the other thing of the entire sales selling cycle. Obviously, you've used email, you've spoken about cold calling, or warm calling. The other big, system that we have is obviously LinkedIn, and you mentioned Expandy to go ahead and do that. I'd like to understand what your approach for LinkedIn lead generation is. Do you just send an introduction message with some sort of commonality with that person, and then be like, go straight into the sell? Or if not, how are you warming up your leads in LinkedIn? Everyone's getting sold to, but how are you warming them up right now, or what's your approach?
So I need to preface this by saying anything I know about LinkedIn comes from James Watson, LinkedIn King on Twitter, right? Shout out to James. And what James said to us, and what he provided a structure in the group, is be genuine and provide value, right? So in your connection request, it's about having a genuine interest. So you might use a first line or something. And then in your first message, you just want to compound on what you've said about your genuine interest, right? So it's, hi, John, love your experience at XYZ, or whatever that might be. But one thing that he did mention is to essentially use the bottom of a message how you would use an email signature, right? So for Smart Lead, you might say, do you want to learn how to send 1,000 cold emails a day on autopilot? If you do, check out Smart Lead. Right,
okay.
And then in your next message, it will be, I'm wondering what you guys do at company name to send. Do you send emails? What do you do for outreach?
Right.
So it's a slower, much more conversational and genuine approach as opposed to
conversational based approach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Understood. That's I'm glad you said that, because that's the approach we're taking right now. So at least I know that we're in the right path as well. So I picked that up as well. With LinkedIn, it's very human based. With email, you can be a lot more transactional and get your way through. But LinkedIn, they don't like a straight sell. Like it's more conversation based. 100%. Okay, cool. Very, very cool. Obviously, we know that the LinkedIn profile plays a massive. It's almost a landing page for conversion. So any core things you can share in terms of optimization tips to improve conversions for meetings booked when you're using your LinkedIn profile?
So based on James's recommendations, right? So 500 connections, ideally, minimum.
Okay.
Profile picture, make it look professional. Yeah, so don't use something like my Twitter one where it looks like it's been taken on the potato, yeah? Headline needs to tell people what you do and show some of your achievements. A header image, use it as a space to provide additional information around what you do and ideally some social proof. The about summary, describe what you do, for who and what results you've achieved and what people can expect from working with you. Featured section, the best ways to use this section is to highlight case studies. If you've got video ones, put them in there. Skills and endorsements, this is an interesting one. So he says pick the most relevant skills and then use the additional skills as SEO keywords. And the final one, recommendations. If you've worked with someone in the past, ask for a recommendation, make it describe the transformation that they went through when working with you. Great tips from James.
Okay. Very, very, very clear, very to the point. I couldn't dispute even one of them. Not that I would want to, but those obviously make a lot of sense. Okay, cool. I want to sort of run into 2023. And if we don't speak about AI, then we're not in 2023. So do you mind sharing if you're doing anything AI for your outbound or you're teaching your clients or your customers within your group? How are you looking to implement AI right now within the business?
Yeah. So like right now, we're not really doing anything AI. I've been looking at ChatGPT, and then since speaking to you, when you did the webinar, when you mentioned Auto GPT. But like I said before, I'm a big believer in fundamentals, right? And I can't see anything at the moment, and I'm not that tech savvy, right? But I can't see anything at the moment that would significantly increase what we do, other than market research or other things, right? We use, of course. But and now if you're talking about first lines, then that's obviously a different matter. And again, I don't know if they actually add to the message or not. But I'm open to it. I want to continue to understand it. I just don't see anything that I can include right now that will significantly improve what we do.
Sure. Okay, fair enough. Makes absolute sense. Is there a configuration that you're seeing as a templatized, very obvious configuration that you can share? The number of domains per mailbox or, number of domains or mailboxes per domain, how many emails to send out per day, warm-up settings, all that kind of jazz. Yeah.
Got a very specific answer for this because when I first started, I would do the usual, right? 2 weeks warm up, slow ramp up, 30, 40, get to 70 emails per day per domain, right? Now I wanted to get ahead of everyone else and send more, right? Because if I double the amount I send, I should double the results I get. So I tested for weeks and weeks different sending limits for domains, and then I would assess as to what happened. So what I come up with, I'm now probably a year and a half, 18 months, 2 years ago, that I've used, everyone in the closing clients group uses. So hundreds of people have used this and not had an issue, right? So let me get the specific numbers up. So we use 12 domains, right? So if we were to sign a client for a lead gen agency or do something for our own outreach, we get 12 outreach domains. So if you've got Smart Lead, then you'd have App Smart Lead, Try Smart Lead, Use Smart Lead, right? So 12 different variations that are always available.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We warm them for 2 weeks. After the warm-up, we just go straight into full send, right? So we go 132 emails per domain. That doesn't include warm-up. So we'd send 40 additional emails for warm-up, but we send 132 emails for outreach. We use, now this is dependent on everyone and you can do what you want, but we typically use 4 domains per campaign. We have a 3 email campaign sequence. We send 132 emails per domain. We send between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. with a 5-minute delay. And that allows us to send 528 emails, outreach emails per day. But the important thing is we can send 176 emails to new prospects every day. Right? Because as you know, if you've got 4 follow-ups, 5 follow-ups, then that significantly reduces the number of new prospects you reach out to, right? So I've used that. That's what the guys that I help use. I've never had an issue.
And clearly works. So that's great. Yeah. Love it. You've clearly done a lot of like mathematical science in here to actually work exactly 132. Good on you. Yeah. Okay. I can imagine. I'm gonna try to do that myself over here. So that's great. Thanks, man. That's something learned as well. Great. Awesome. Sean, obviously very grateful for your time. Just 1 or 2 more questions that I want to sort of run through with you and then sort of call it a day. What do you think the goal of a cold email is in 2023? Is it to drive sales, demos, impressions? I know this is a very depends on your case perspective. But what do you think people should focus on is the question, perhaps. Should they focus to just get impressions? Should they focus on getting sales? What's your approach on what works?
I think you should focus on trying to get a response.
Okay.
I think that's the only thing that matters, right? I think you should then approach the email in that sense. You're not looking to sell in the first email. A little bit like how you'd approach LinkedIn, right? You're just looking to, all we're trying to do is identify, are you interested or not? It's fine if you're not, but I just need to know.
Makes sense.
So the sooner we can identify that, the better, and then we can use the follow-ups to convert.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. That's fair. And the last question I sort of have to understand is, follow-ups is a very confusing place for a lot of people, where it's almost like, when you try to reach out to someone and you're expecting them to reject you and they say, yes, I'm interested. You don't know what to say after that. So the exact opposite. People just blabber on in follow-ups, and I see a lot of potential and revenue lost by just doing really crappy follow-ups. So do you have a formula, or do you have a process that is methodic? Because clearly you're a person who's very methodic and calculated in the way you do things. Anything that you can share?
Yeah, so we have, like I mentioned, we use 3 email sequence. Yeah, so we only have two. Yeah. We only have two follow-ups to work with.
Yeah.
So follow-up 1 is we compound on what we said in the first one, right? So if we're saying, John, we can get you, would you be interested in 100 grand in additional revenue every month? Second email is, John, here's how we're going to get you that 100 grand revenue every month, right? Here's the ROI you can expect. So it's an ROI breakdown. So we say if it's 100,000 client lifetime value, we assume you close 10%, right? And then we highlight a case study. And then again, no-brainer question, right? We frame a question as such that they should feel stupid saying no to it again. Then the third the final follow-up is we do the same as a question you feel stupid saying no to, but we provide value, right? So for when we're running lead gen, we would say, right, John, appreciate you're busy. Can we send you a list of 1,000 of your ideal prospects and their direct email addresses?
Okay.
Yeah. So then you'd have to be pretty silly to say no to that, right? So they say, yeah, cool, John, we just need to get on a call to figure out your ICP. And then you can say, look, we're going to send you this list. That's fine. But do you want us to send those emails on your behalf and do the lead gen for you? We can get you on the calls.
Makes sense.
Right. So, and we do that with whatever offer we're running. And it's just like how Moses says, right? No-brainer offer, make people feel stupid to say no to it.
Stupid to say no. Yeah.
Focus on the offer. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Awesome. Mate, Sean, this is actually one of the very cool, like, you're so methodic. I love it. Like, no time wasted. I actually picked up a lot. I'm going to watch this again and see if I can borrow something off you. So thank you for that. For anyone who wants to get in touch with you or your community or group where you're running some incredible things, what's the best place to find you? I'll put the links in the description.
Yeah, so it's Sean 0 to 10K on Twitter, and then we've got the Closing Clients group, which is a Slack community on there as well.
Yeah, I'll put it on the description anyway. Awesome, Sean. Thank you so much, and thanks for jumping on board. I really appreciate your time. Have a great day, man.
No problem, bro. Yeah, nice to be on.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Right.
See you later.